What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. So this is a follow-up video to my calories, macros, and hormones video. And somebody asked a question, and they asked it because several people recently have tagged me, and I don't know who the guy is. I don't know who he is. Some random dude, I have no idea who this guy is, who's talking about you don't need to count macros, you don't need to count calories, just hit your protein requirements, and then fill in the rest however you want, which I think his theory is based on like a low-fat diet, high-carb diet, your protein always kind of stays the same. Or if it's a keto diet, your protein, but here's the thing, keto diet, usually your protein lowers and your fats go up. So even if you went by his reasoning, if you switch from fats instead of carbs, your protein requirements would change, right? That's what happens in keto. Now, there are different types of keto where your protein goes up, which is not even like your traditional keto, but it's something more kind of new age with athletes. But here's my take on it. I'm gonna tell you guys why, and why. First, use logic, okay? Before you have to go look up any studies or know anything about the body, know anything about biochemistry, know anything about hormones, anything like that, right? Use logic, right? So this individual says, or this one individual asked me, he said, what do you think about, you know, these people saying that just hit your protein requirements and fill in however you want to fill them in with fats and carbs. Like, don't even bother, you know, maybe hit the calorie count, but just eat whatever you want. Like, it doesn't really matter, right? And I'm like, okay, that must be the new form. It's even the lazier form of IFYM. Right now, it doesn't matter for these other two, but just hit your protein needs, which that's what they did with IFFWM. But instead, they were saying no, all carbohydrates are the same. Now they're saying every calorie besides a protein is the same. Like, that's what they're saying, right? Now, here's reality, and here's where you use logical thinking, reasoning, and really understand things. So we know for a fact that protein-wise, your body has a set requirement for that. So depending on your muscle mass, your metabolism, what your goals are, you're going to have a specific amino acid or protein requirement that you need to hit every day. If you're not hitting it, you're going to notice that you don't make progress. Okay, so now we're all on the same page that we need to have a certain amount of protein, and even the individual that is coming up with this different way of doing it still says you have to hit the protein needs. So we're all in agreement, protein needs, we need protein. So when we look at the other half of it, or the other part of it, because there's actually three parts of it, so the other 2/3 of it, we have the individual saying that you can just fill in whatever. Now, much like protein requirements, right? Essential amino acids, there are essential requirements for your body to function properly. There are no essential requirements for carbohydrates, okay? Now, bear with me. There are essential requirements for essential fatty acids in certain amounts. Now, if you're not nourished fat-wise, your hair, skin, nails, all these things take a hit. Muscle mass, hormones, so many things can be set off in the wrong direction by not meeting your fat requirements. So now I ask you, based on the information you just had, there are definitely protein requirements. There are definitely fat requirements. There are no carbohydrate requirements, okay? So based on that, can you just fill in whatever with carbs and fats? No, you need to hit your protein requirement and you need to hit your fat requirement. Now, could you eliminate carbohydrates totally as long as you're hitting your fat and protein? Absolutely. But you're gonna have a huge deficit. So you're gonna have to raise the fat or the protein. But realistically, you're still not going to just randomly fill in whatever. Even if you decided you were going to go straight keto, you're going to reduce the carbohydrates, you're going to raise the fats, right? So you'll still have a certain amount of fats that you need that are essential, but what you eat after that would be used for energy and maintenance. So now we have this situation where, yes, the individual is kind of right, because you can take carbohydrates out and increase fats, right? But when you swap it and you say, I'm going to eat zero fat and eat only carbs and protein, and because I don't like fats, I'm going to have all carbohydrates. All the rest of my calories, I'm going to hit my protein needs, all the rest of my calories come from carbohydrates. Do that for a month and see what happens. Not only are your hormones going to change, because you need cholesterol, you need fat to create the hormones. Like, it's the basis of those hormones. It's the building material for those hormones. But to keep your hair, skin, nails healthy and growing, and think about those things, those are fast-growing cells, fast-replicating cells, right? Well, all the cells in your body, if those are not functioning properly, you could see it, what do you think is happening inside your body, right? So now we have the question, can you just eat your protein needs and then do whatever as long as you're staying in your calories? You can, but you shouldn't. And the reason you shouldn't is, not only are you not going to meet your requirements fat-wise, but if you cut the fats down too far, we've seen this many times where natural bodybuilders especially, there's one study that I saw, it was on a natural body, but it was a great amount of information in there. They basically said that as he was dieting down and dropping the fats like 30, 20 grams a day or whatever it was, his hormones went so fucking crazy, like he had metabolic syndrome. It was a mess. And it was from dropping the fats too low. It wasn't necessarily the activity, it wasn't necessarily the fact that he didn't have carbohydrates, it was the fats were too low. That's what screwed up his hormones. So now, again, are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins needed to get the best results, most optimal long-term, and keep you healthy? Yes, absolutely. Do you need carbohydrates to survive? No, but here's another thing. If you removed all carbohydrates from your diet, your body would still make glucose via gluconeogenesis. Sorry, we say gluconeogenesis in Rhode Island, and people give me shit for it. It's gluconeogenesis. Will happen where they make roughly, they'll use the glycerol backbone. Your body uses the glycerol backbone to create carbohydrate, or glycogen, excuse me. So even if you didn't eat any carbohydrates, I'm trying to get the words right because people jump all over me for having the wrong terminology. Even though the concepts are there and the understanding is there, if you don't say the right word, people focus on the right word or the wrong word rather than actually focusing on what you're talking about. So your body's going to make glycogen even if you don't take any in. So there's not any essential need for carbohydrates for glycogen because your body's going to create it whether you eat it or not. However, your body's not going to create fat unless you overeat the other macros. But they're talking about calories. These individuals are talking about hitting your protein needs, then fill in the rest of your calories. So you're not going to be eating enough of protein and carbohydrates to roll over into gaining fat or creating fats that your body will store. So it's a very easy, logical explanation. You need to hit your protein needs in order to make your body recover, grow, and stay anabolic. You need fats for hormone production, hair, skin, nails, and health in general, as well as making sure that your hormones are optimal. If you're one of the persons that's supplementing hormones, that changes that, but you still need those fats for your hair, skin, nails. You still need those fat-soluble vitamins. The fat for the fat-soluble vitamins, or your body can't actually digest those vitamins. Like, that's part of why they're fat-soluble vitamins. They are digested with fats. Now, it got a little complicated here, but I think you can see that you cannot just hit your protein needs and do whatever the fuck you want. You can do it, right? But let's be real. You want results, right? You want long-term, fast, lasting results, right? Does that sound logically like to you, by making your body be inefficient and not proficient, no proficiency and not efficient, and it's not efficient at the same time, to grow muscle or lose fat as fast as you possibly can and maintain it? It's like trying to drive the car with the emergency brake on. It will move, but it doesn't want to move, and it's going to fuck it up if you make it move. Then you have metabolic syndrome, you have anabolic this, you have all these other things, thyroid problems, all these other things, hair and skin, nails, or skin starting to flake up. Like, there's all these other things that come into play, including lack of muscle gains and lack of fat loss. By not understanding how the three macronutrients, there's only 3 macronutrients, guys. For you to not understand how these things work, there's no excuse. It's not like there's 100 of them, there's 3 of them. I mean, there's 9 essential amino acids, and I understand that 9 amino acids can really fuck people up because it's a lot of information that these 9 things can do and what they can create. But there's 3 macronutrients. Why we're still here talking about these 3 macronutrients like we don't know what the fuck they are and it's something new we just discovered is beyond me. I can't understand it. But the bottom line is, be aware of the people that try to dumb it down. The people that dumb it down and say it's so easy this, is so easy that. If this thing was so easy, getting lean, getting bigger, counting macros, understanding how the hormones work with the food, if this was so easy, you wouldn't be watching this video because you'd be able to do it without even having to think about it, because nothing matters, right? Your carbs don't matter, your fats don't matter, just hit your protein. I've heard people, hit your protein and your fiber and then do whatever. What the fuck? And I'm looking at these guys, and again, they were saying this shit 10 years ago. They're gone. Most of these guys are gone from the industry. The ones that are not gone haven't progressed in 5 years. And I'm like, that's the problem. That you're getting stuff from people that they took it as far as they could and what they understood, that's what they know and they're giving you. But there's a whole fucking world after that that they don't understand and don't know. They're not even aware that it exists. It's like a whole other fucking universe, like an alternate reality of getting your body more efficient, getting your body to be predictable, making it do what you want it to do, long-term goals, understanding these things that they never delved into because they thought they had it all. The ego allows them to stop right there and say, well, I got results doing this, but you're still 150 pounds. What about the guy who wants to be 200 pounds? Tell him how to get 200. How can you tell him how to get to 200 if you've never done it? You don't understand the concepts how to do it yourself. Like, you haven't even had a client do it. You haven't done it yourself. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at, guys. Be careful, because everybody nowadays is a coach. It's like, DM me for details, like programs for 20 bucks, and I'm sitting there going, this is why. They know a little bit. They know the basics. But when you really break it down and start digging into this, it's way more complicated than you think, or otherwise everybody would be able to do it. No coaches would have jobs because people get up in the morning and go, oh, I'm going to start a diet today. I'm going to hit my protein needs and then fuck around for the rest of the day. I'll do cardio. I'm going to make sure I burn 400 calories every 3 days for my cardio. And I'm just going to do my fucking push-pull legs and I'll do my thing and I'm just going to get results. And then next thing you know, they're hiring you because they did what I just said and the results worked, but they stopped. They came to a screeching halt and then they're fucked. And they're like, well, what the hell? Like, I thought this, I thought that. If I hear one more thing about a deficit in calorie counting, I'm like, look, that shit is fucking stage 1. I'm in stage 3 over here looking at what the fuck could possibly be stage 4. Like, you need to catch up through 1, 2, 3, then to get to 4. So we're all on the fucking same page. But understanding that calorie counting, macro counting, understanding what the macros are step 1. Step 2 is applying it. Step 3 is really understanding it. Step 4, I'm not sure what that is yet because I'm not there. But there's 3 pieces right now that I'm for sure understand, despite me not going to school for it. And I think that honestly, when we really break it down to it, I think people out there just ego-wise, they think because they look a certain way, they've done something that this applies to the entire world. Well, that's not how that usually works. If you ask them how, you know, how do you understand your fat needs? Dude, I don't know. You just say, I don't know. I figure, and they'll come up with a random number and you say, well, how does it? So you take that. What does he take? What does she take? What does that person take? And see how they come up with those numbers for the different people. They can't because they don't understand it. Like they understand the concept of fats, proteins, and carbs, or proteins and fat. Carbs and fats are energy sources. But they don't understand that those fats do other things besides just energy, right? They understand protein can be broken down for energy, gluconeogenesis, and converted into glycogen, but they don't understand really how fats do anything besides energy. That's part of the problem. So hopefully this gives you guys enough information to where you understand, right? Before you go digging, logic. Logic. Don't take somebody's word for it. Logically, if you know that fats are responsible for keeping you healthy and you remove them, what do you think is going to happen? You're not going to be healthy. Bodily functions are not going to be efficient. When bodily functions are not efficient, what makes you think muscle growth or fat loss is going to be efficient? Your daily needs are not even efficient just to stay healthy and be alive, right? And you think that muscle building all of a sudden is going to be fucking jacked up because you decided to not eat any fats or not eat any carbohydrates or not. You know, when you really put it like that, you go, how the fuck did anybody think that? Because they're not thinking. They're going with things that they've heard, things that people have told them, and concepts they've come up with on their own without really learning how those things work. And again, guys, this I can only speak from experience. It's because I did that, right? I was Mr. Bro Science. I'm still Mr. Bro Science because I do believe that there are things that science still has not studied to confirm what the fuck we've seen in the gym. And I stand by the fact that I like the science. I think it's really cool. But I also understand that there's more to what we know right now. I mean, we continue to grow and improve and gain more knowledge on a daily basis. What makes you think that this is it, right? We've figured everything out. It's so easy. It's just calories. What makes you think that's it? Well, there's macros now. Oh, fuck. Well, we didn't know about macros back in fucking the day, right? We'd try to get enough protein. We'd have this weird number, like our body weight in protein. And we'd say, oh, you're really active? Maybe 300 grams sounds good. Carbohydrates. Oh, fats, we keep fats low, 15. Like, there were these weird numbers that we would throw around because it was based on what we thought calorically it would do to our body. And then we learned about macronutrients and then especially breaking it down to learn how they affect hormones in your body, right? Carbohydrates, what does that affect? By itself, insulin levels, spikes insulin levels. If you add a fat and a protein to it, it now slows down the digestion of that carbohydrate and the insulin doesn't spike, it trickles out. It's more stable. Half those coaches wouldn't be able to tell you that, right? These fats, these essential fatty acids, essential means you need to take them in every day. If you're not taking them in every day, your body's not nourished. If your body's not nourished, without the fats, hormone-wise, you're not optimal. Therefore, you can't possibly optimal growing muscle and losing fat if your hormones aren't even optimal. Like, people are not even understanding, like, proteins. They can grow hair. They can grow muscle. They can be turned into energy, right? Holy shit, they can be turned into fat. Like, there's so many things that these macronutrients do that people don't understand that I think gets lost in the translation of that person looks good, so I'm going to ask him. And then they tell you, and you're like, oh, I do that, and then it doesn't work for you because that person, they've done something that they don't even really understand. They kind of stumbled upon it. Many of the pro bodybuilders wind up doing these training programs and growing like a weed. Now, it takes the rest of us 4 or 5 years, maybe trying different programs till we find the right one. They got lucky and nailed the first one. Now they're preaching to everybody about how great that program is. Then people do the program, they don't get the same results. Because it's not about what you do, it's about what you know, what you understand, and how you can apply it, and how you can replicate it over and over again. If you can't replicate it with every single person that comes through the door, then you don't really understand it, because everything needs to be adjusted person to person. So, yeah, this one went longer than I thought it would, but hopefully this explains some stuff to you guys. And I really like these discussions, man. I would love to keep it coming. So if you guys got questions, shoot down below. Let me know, and let's keep this shit going. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below and questions, but don't fight. BioStreetTraining.com is a blog. It's the, yes, you need fats and carbs in certain amounts and protein, bicep. Jeez, that's a lot. And we are out.